All right. Hello. How are we all going today? Monday. Wow. A few announcements over the weekend, right? It's all pretty crazy here. So maybe your kids are at school, maybe they're already running around in the background. But we're definitely in a whole new world right now. So things are going to get pretty tricky. Firstly, I just want to apologize for not actually posting any meetings videos over the weekend. That was very deliberate. I have been on the go for over 2 weeks, have not stopped, and I really needed a mental break. So I did. I gave myself a break on the weekend. I worked in the garden. It was beautiful. The sun was shining, and it was just what I needed to make sure that I can be on and ready for you guys now going forward. So look after yourselves, everyone. If you feel like you need a break because the world is chaos right now, take it. It's the best thing for you and everyone around you. So today we are going to talk about how we're going to keep our team productive in this challenging environment. Not only is everyone working from home and haven't before, now they've got their partners and their kids running around in the background as well. And as you've seen in my previous videos, my cat, who's quietly sitting on the couch thankfully today, also likes to run around in my videos. But yeah, it's going to be tricky for a lot of people. So let's talk about how we're going to manage that. So the most important thing, if you're leading and managing a team, is expectations. Setting them, understanding them, having a joint understanding of expectations. So obviously we need to be as flexible as possible right now, but we need to just be clear with every individual team member what their expectations are of us and what expectations they have of their own work environment and what expectations you have of them. So normally in a work from home environment, I would encourage you to set common team expectations, as in I expect you to be available between 10 and 3 or 10 and 4 or whatever it happens to be. I want you to be here. I want you to do that, yada, yada, right? We are in a situation where we're going to have to potentially create different expectations for each individual. We have people that have partners that are in the medical industry and they need to not be at home. We've got toddlers running around in some cases. We've got partners that are sometimes there, sometimes not, depends on the job, whatever it happens to be. So we need to create some work arrangements with each individual that works for them. And also means that you can also get the work done as required. So talk to each individual and go over some of the things we're talking about today with them so you can come up with an appropriate work schedule for each person. Now, some people may find that they're going to commit to not a full-time day, but their intention is to do a full-time day. They just don't know how it's going to work. So that's something you need to talk about. Now, one thing is basically creating work hours and agreeing work hours with that person. So let's say they say, I reckon I can commit to 6 hours of work that I know that I can be available in a certain time slot, so I'm contactable. And then the other 2 hours, the other 7.5 hours, whatever it happens to be, I might get done in the morning or the evening, but I just don't know when it's going to happen. So that's, all I can commit to, if that makes sense. And so the reason why I want you to agree to a time slot, and look, this is a test and measure. It may not work. You can change this later. It's not set in stone, but create some kind of structure for your team. And because that means that you know when you can contact them, when you can set meetings with them, that sort of thing. Now, once they've created that, their expectation around the time slots that they think they're going to be available, ask them to blank out their calendars as well, so that when people try and book time with them, it'll only be in those time slots. So that's really important. Now, what we're trying to do is create some structure as well, because naturally in society, we have a structure of working 9 to 5 or 8 till 6. The kids go to school from 9 to 3. So we naturally have a societal structure that helps us create routine. Now, that's going to fall away, or it already has fallen away, and people's lives can become very chaotic very quickly. So structure is very important that we create for each individual and help them find ways to stick with that structure. Now, one way to help remain in good communication and also kind of see that people are actually doing the hours that they said, is using online chat. So one thing we do is we use Skype, and we expect team members to be available between particular work hours on Skype to answer questions. So you can see if they're online, either Skype or Slack or one of those chat mechanisms. You expect them to be there and available and able to answer questions or to go to meetings. Now you'll start implementing, I'm sure, a little chat language and lingo, like, you know, BRB, I'll be right back. I've just got to go sort out my toddler, or, you know, I've got to go make the kids lunch, or whatever it happens to be. So, you know, you'll start chatting to each other, letting each other know where you are, what's going on, if you're available, if you're not. Now, one of the other things is we want to make sure that we're creating and allowing focus time where possible. And I'll talk about that second when we talk about ourselves. So if you're going to have a deep work focus time, let your team know on the chat, I'm going into deep work, so I'm not going to be available on the chat, but I am working. And when I'm available again, I'm going to turn my do not disturb back off, and you can message me and I'll see your messages. So, you know, we want this flexibility, but we want to start this new language and this new way of working, setting expectations and communicating constantly within the team. So the other thing around expectations is make sure you and your team members have a common understanding about what can and can't be done in a work from home environment. If you think they can do everything and they don't think they can do everything, then we've got a misalignment and obviously could create some issues down the line. So what you want to do is discuss what they think they can't do when they're working from home. So you can either go, I agree, or you can work out some solution about how they can get around to be able to do it. Print things out, I know, you know, or scan things in, whatever it happens to be. I don't know, it depends on the topic, but there might be things where they assume they can't do it, but you have, once you get your heads together, you can come up with a way to make it work. But make sure there's a common understanding around expectations of what can and can't be done. And make sure there's an expectation that you expect them to be home and working. I'm sure you might have seen in the news, but there's been a dramatic increase in Netflix and stand watching because people are Netflix and stand watching. So, you know, if you're expecting your person to be still working full time, set that expectation, be very clear, and that they're still being held to their objectives and their deliverables. Obviously, we're trying to be flexible. We want to communicate that as well. But our businesses needs, if we're going to keep employing people, our business needs to still keep achieving and producing and achieving objectives. So let's, you know, all get on board with that. Make sure you have a daily check-in. So maybe everyone dials in at a particular time of day where we've all got crossover when we're all available, or even if it's not a normal crossover, surely everyone could take 15 minutes out at a particular time of day. We talk about how's everyone going, what roadblocks do you have, what support do you need, what's working, what's not working, what's going on for you, right? So just check in with the team, make sure everyone's okay, and a way that everyone can talk to each other. And then stuff will bubble out of those meetings. So make sure you do that daily, okay? You might have a longer meeting once a week, but a daily 15-minute check-in. The other thing is you might want to create shifts or alternate arrangements. And this sort of comes back to my first point, but if you're trying to juggle kids with a partner, if you're lucky enough to have a partner there that can help you juggle, then maybe they work the morning shift and you look after the kids, and then you work the afternoon shift and they look after the kids, and then you both do some couple hours in the evening at a very set time, whatever it happens to be. Or maybe you might have to make up some hours on the weekend. So try and create shifts and work arrangements, but create structure and agree that time. Don't let your employees just say, I'll just get it done whenever I can. It will create chaos in their home and in their mind, and it's not good for anyone, and stuff doesn't get done. So make sure you create structure. And the other thing is share with each other. Talk about what's working. Talk about what's not working. You know, this is also a matter of testing and seeing what works. Go, oh, look, I tried the 2 shifts a day. It didn't work. What's my alternative? You know, what else can we do? You know, I'm working 4 days and I take a day's leave, or I don't know. Be really flexible, be really creative, try and find different things that work for you and share with each other. go, look, I locked the door and the kids can't get in, or, like, I've tied them up, they're on the floor, they're doing great. I don't know. But whatever it is, share what's working with you, share how you stay focused, and get stuff done. We want to make sure that we're still continuing to build and maintain the relationships within our teams as well. So communication is very important right now. Constant communication, more than you ever have before. Now, that's you managing your team, but the other thing is yourself and tips for each individual. So how do we make sure we stay productive and we get shit done? Well, like I've said, create structure. So maybe you time block, create some chunks of time in your day when you think you're going to get types of activities done. And one of those things is creating focus time when you know you're going to need to work deeply or do some analysis or do something very, that's mentally intensive. Create those focus times at a time that you think will work best for you. Let your team know that they can't disturb you in that time, but you are working. Let the family know. Try and encourage them to really respect that boundary that you're going to create so that you can get your stuff done. Otherwise, you're just going to be not feeling like you ever get anything done. So create focus time, create structure, use a chunking mechanism to create time blocks in your day of types of activities. If you can focus on individual activities, you'll be way more productive. If you're chopping and changing, looking at the phone, getting a pop-up email notification, you are going to be way less productive. Chunk your time into focus time. And when you're working on something, you turn off the phone, you turn off the notifications, and you work on the thing. Then you create a time slot where you check your notifications, you'd make phone calls, you check your emails in a certain time slot. You are going to chunk your time into types of activities, and then you're going to turn off distractions while you're in that time slot. If you keep letting your phone ping you, if you keep checking every COVID-19 notification every 5 seconds, then you're never going to get anything done. You'll be so unproductive. So chunking, focus time. And the other thing is I want you to, if that's tricky for you, or you're not sure how to keep within your times, use your phone timer. Set a timer on your phone. Go, okay, I'm working on this thing for an hour. I'm going to do emails for an hour. Set the timer. It'll go off. You can move on to the next task. So to use a timer, that's a really good thing as well. Then I want you to create very strict work times. When you're working from home, work and home can merge together very quickly, and you can feel like there's never an end to the work because it's all merged together and you feel like you've got a never-ending work day. So set strict work times. So say, I'm going to finish work at 5:30 every day. I switch off, I walk away from my computer, done, dusted, that's it. You mentally have a switch that your day is ended, and you can switch off and go into family mode or home mode or whatever it happens to be. So I want you to set strict boundaries on your work times, and don't let everything just flow together all the time, or you'll feel chaotic and you'll feel like you're never escaping work. Because when you go to work, you can leave work. Even if you take work home, there's still some kind of a boundary there. And if you're those people that take it home and don't have a boundary, then you're actually being more unproductive, because you need to shut your brain down so it's more productive the next day. Give yourself rest time. Set that boundary, strict work time. Now, the other thing that I like to do on a regular basis regardless, but now is a really important time, log your time and see where it's not working out for you, because we're working with a different structure right now. So, maybe for 3 days or 2 days, log your time and go, I said I'd have 3 time blocks of focus time and none of it worked. It didn't happen. I got distracted the whole time. So I need to move my focus time to another time of day. So start to see patterns, see what's working, what's not working, and then you can shift and pivot and change as required. But talk to each other, communicate not just with your workmates, but with your family as well. Help them know how you expect to work and how you want to work, and ask them to support you with that. We need to keep asking each other how we're going. We need to keep sharing with each other what's working for us and what's not. We need to brainstorm. We need to be creative, right? Now is the time to do things a whole lot differently than we ever have before. And if you need help, just reach out to me. There are so many people out there that are wanting to help each other right now. It's so beautiful to see. There are so many people just going, how can I help you? And I'm one of those people. So please reach out if you need help, and enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with the kids at home.